So, obviously this is a question that is on everyone's, topmost on everyone's mind. And one of the first things we did when the lockdown happened was to start counting money, right? Who owes you how much money? Because, sometimes, it may take 2 weeks, 3 weeks. How much money, we stopped traveling. We stopped travel in Pratham in the first week of March. So we had a whole month of March, and the lockdown started happening only in the third week. So we had a whole no travel, no meetings, no trainings period to actually be able to estimate, how much do we travel and how much does that cost. So by the time we had reached the end of March, we had just our basic wage bill that we were paying out. So how much money do we have? How much are we likely to get? Who's going to change their mind? Who is in what kind of, we have money from many different kinds of sources. Who is getting hit by what kind of source? All these calculations have to be done. So our board as well has gotten much more involved in the nitty-gritties and the nuts and bolts of how, and as I said, we have 7,500 people, wage bill is quite high. And so we made a very calculated, estimation about what we can do in the next 3 months, because beyond that is, we are not sure. And so what we are doing now is to say that if everybody who's supposed to give us money does give it, and maybe we'll have to dip into some reserves. We don't have much reserves. Our board is scrambling to create a kind of a quick stabilization fund. We are looking at where we can get overdraft facilities from. All these things are being done. And we wanted to give our people a little bit of a heads up to plan their own finances as well. So, if I was just dropped today, I have no time to think about what I can do. People being at home is also giving them some sense of, if you don't travel, how do you, all these kinds of things, right? So that's on the one hand. We are going to have to scale back a lot. We can see that because, the world is a different place. But one of the things two things I think very important. One is in this last week, ever since our board agreed that the next up to June, we pay at least the basic salaries. We've communicated this to everybody. So we've been on Zoom calls with every last person. I think by this evening, everyone will have heard this, not just from their immediate team leader, but from multiple layers of people. So a huge communication exercise, again, made possible by video calling, to say that, look, we are in this together. Here's the calculation we've made. And I think it's always good to be upfront. And, I've been on many of these calls and people say, I have a question. So I said, go ahead and ask it. I may not have the answer, but I'm happy to listen. And being just open, just like you'd be with your family, to say, okay, we are on hard times now. What is it that we can do? And we'll think together. So we are doing that. The other thing I think that I hope we are communicating very well is there will be no lack of work. The question is, so, often people ask me, is there an opening in Pratham? I'll say there's no opening, but we are very open. Okay. So, I don't know what we can pay whom and how, but I think there's going to be a ton of work. We are going to be busier than ever. Kids are going to need us. Young people are going to need us. Their families are going to need us. And so what we may have to do is to think about what is the resources we have, how can we spread it amongst ourselves, realizing that we'll all be a lot lower than we were. But I think people need the security. I think they need the dignity of work. They need the relevance of the work. You need the security that we are together in a team, and you need the money. And the money is the only one which is uncertain. All the other things are still there. So the world is a different place. It will be a poorer place, but we are all here. And so, obviously money will be a big problem for many, but I think the security and the team being together and the fact that you're still being, we are lucky that we are in a field in which kids need us. And, at least that relevance is not going away. It's only going to increase. So I have no great words of advice, but this is what we are doing. And I'd love to hear about other people.